Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where to tell you today. I used to say California, Los Angeles, and now I just have fun zeroing in on other places. But regardless, I'm here. You're here. Today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, and this is the TDAM Daily Show here on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. We're going to discuss the Israel-Iran-U.S. peace deal. Peace deal? Ceasefire? Or smokescreen? Hello to David. Hello to Deb and everybody else in chat. They are starting to jump in here. So once the chat room populates, I will add the comments on the side of the screen. If you are watching and you're not a regular contributor to the show, this is Nimbus. He's my trusty sidekick, joining me for all of my programs, many of my programs, we'll just say. But yeah, if you haven't joined in on the conversation, please do so. Type your name or your initials and let me know where you are watching from. Deb is Sacramento, David is Ontario, Canada, and we love to know where everyone is at. So we're going to ask, we're going to discuss. Sorry. You can't see Nimbus, but he's rolling her. Stop it. Nimbus is rolling around on my mouse pad. He's being saucy right now. No nibble. He's like that Tootsie Roll owl. 1, 2, 3. He's like, crunch. And then he'll nibble. So, we're going to talk about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We have judges, magistrates trying to block what's happening with him. I mean, this is Nimbus. He's rubbing his head into the computer, shifting my green screen background. I'm all set up here, but he's changing the camera. You know what? I'm at the mercy of Nimbus. And you all know it. Nimbus is a regular. Deb is calling out. Hello to Nimbus. Hello to everybody else. Look, we got a bunch of stories to get to. I'm going to start the program with this. Our intro. Buckle up. We got a lot of news to get to.
Guide to the Truth, the new AmericanMedia.com.
You are missing the Nimbus show. When he's ready for attention, man, right? Nimbus, where you at? Are you on the screen? Come on, give me a headbutt. Oh, what, you're going to be like that? Here, how about your paw? You can see his paw, right? So now he's, no, be good. Now he's laying sideways. Kicking. Oh, I didn't do that. I'm really at the. Let me just show you Nimbus. Up. Okay, that's Nimbus who wants to keep playing the intro to the show. I mean, he's laying sideways, giving me his paw. Look at this. Nimbus. He wants to be the center of attention today. All right, well, I'm going to go left-handed. I got this wireless mouse. Let me see the best I can do. Make sure that we are streaming everywhere. Say hello in chat, please. Say hello in chat, please. All right. Facebook. I see Kenneth. Oh no, that was from 6 hours ago. Hold on. Let me make sure we're streaming live to Facebook, and we'll get this going. By the way, any stories that you want us to cover that we do not have in our stack, tell me about it. Do you want to talk about the small barrel rifle exclusions that Governor Greg Abbott has made in Texas? You know, we shouldn't have all these restrictions on our First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment. We shouldn't have people going bonkers on us with regulations. You don't need regulations for a lot of things. But why is it that you do for your Second Amendment rights? Well, because it's dangerous. Yeah, everything's dangerous. We have laws against people being reckless. And if you're reckless and if you're a monster, you should be arrested for those crimes. Otherwise, leave us alone. This is supposed to be a laissez-faire. Leave it alone. Hands off. No step on sneck. You know, it's the libertarian philosophy. All right. Join us live right now. I am putting this out in our Facebook groups. All right. Let's try to do this show left-handed. Nimbus is just right here, loving his time, living his best life. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into... Yeah, Nimbus was pushing the buttons. He was 100% pushing the buttons. He's been pushing my buttons for 19 years, hasn't he? This dude's a 93-year-old man, they tell me. 93 years old in cat years. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to pull up my Instagram feed. Where did it go? And we will discuss the latest. Where are my stories at? Here we go. Oh, Purple Hair Lady. Let's talk about Purple Hair Lady. Isn't she great? Was it the Purple Pie Man on Strawberry Shortcake? This lady looks like a villain from a 1980s cartoon. All right, so here's Democrat Representative
to stop
Rose DeLauro freaking out on Attorney General Pam Bondi, interrupting her repeatedly. What more do you expect from a representative with purple hair, says Media Research Center.
Stop the flow of dangerous illegal drugs like fentanyl.
As I was attempting to answer your question very calmly, unlike you,
Excuse me, Madam Attorney General. Answer yes or no. Tell me what the numbers are. I don't want to hear all of your filibuster about.
And by the way, I think Pam Bondi's approach there, I mean, it was fine to call her out for whatever, but she shouldn't have paused. Her delivery was off. If she just continued forward as if it was just an aside, maybe she gets her point across. And maybe her point was to stop everything and bait Purple Hair Lady into going bonkers on this story. But it worked. But for future reference, Pam Bondi shouldn't have an extra long, they call it a pregnant pause right there.
About this. Go ahead. Please tell us the numbers.
So we are reorganizing. ATF agents want to be out on the street.
Okay,
Working
let me
with
answer the
DEA
question for you.
agents.
I'm going to answer it for you. Page,
What is she asking?
Mr.
What is she even asking the question for if she's not going to?
Chairman, you give me a certain amount of time, and I have a high respect for you, but I don't have to listen, nor do my colleagues have to listen to a filibuster when it's a simple question. But I have an answer to your question. It's page 146 of the department's fiscal year 2026 budget, and the performance summary explicitly says, and let me quote, ATF will eliminate 541 industry operation investigators, reducing ATF's capacity to regulate the firearms and explosive industries by approximately 40%.
So you're getting rid of our unconstitutional restrictions on the right to defend ourselves and our family. Okay.
in fiscal year 2026. 8, to stop the flow of dangerous illegal drugs like fentanyl.
As I was attempting to answer your question very calmly, unlike you,
Okay, and then it replays. Yeah, look, there's a battle going on about our Second Amendment rights. It's time to pay attention. There's so much else going on. We're distracted with international conflicts and war. Let's not lose sight of the fact that we're the constitutional republic we need to be paying attention to here. Did I cover this yesterday? Yeah, let me make sure. Yeah, I covered this one. I'll just give you a quick buzz through some of these stories as we move along. Yeah, that hag in Congress. That's well said. A hag. All right. So 300 Guns here says Democrats are suddenly worried that Iranian terror sleeper cells will now attack the U.S. from within. Yeah, that's the same Democrats who let them all in. The same Democrats who want you to be unarmed. So never forget that. All right, let me jump over to Iran here. Iran, as Deb says, I need to say it. Ben Swan says, so following up on my theory from a day ago, now Iran is fired back at the United States, targeting a U.S. base in Qatar. Qatar. I know there's like 4 pronunciations for everything about all the stories, but whatever. But they reportedly contacted Qatar ahead of time and coordinated the missile launches to minimize casualties. It worked. No damage to the U.S. base, no casualties, 6 missiles knocked down. This is an off-ramp. Iran has to respond, but they did so in a coordinated way with the United States. It makes all of this theater. Time for the show of war with Iran to come to an end. Well, that's kind of where we left things yesterday. That's not where they ended up. We're going to get to that. Yeah, here in Los Angeles, in this video, they're starting to take control of their city a little bit. I think Gavin Newsom sees the optic of all of this. And it's not Gavin, who has political aspirations in 2028. I mean, if you could imagine voting that American psycho into office, I feel for you, because he is the last person you want. Look at the California wildfires. Look at the LA riots. Look at the fact that almost nobody's rebuilding in the Palisades yet. It's just everything in California is upside down. I tell everybody, flee blue cities, flee blue states. Get the hell out of there. There's a lot more to life than concrete jungle where dreams aren't made of. All right, here's a story by Breitbart. Yes, I did read your comments, eh? I was actually scrolling them this morning. I don't get to read everything because I run, I don't know, 25, 30 different Facebook groups. I run 4 or 5 X accounts. Well, here, let me put all the places that you can follow the New American Media. I'll just put it up on the screen. But yeah, I have a million notifications all day long. So the New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube under the New American Media. So hit like and hit subscribe. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. Although my Florida friend, where's she at? Haven't seen her in a moment. She was in a couple days ago, but she said she's having a hard time linking up with us on Telegram. So if anyone else is on Telegram, try to find us and let me know. Can you connect with us? Because that is a very good backup channel should we get taken out by Meta or Google like we were. We were taken out by Meta and Google repeatedly over the past 5 years because they're tyrants and they hate you. Oh, that's strong language, Brian. Google and Meta doesn't hate me, says you. But I say, yes, they do. They have a proven track record. What's up, Nimbus? All right, Nimbus is gone. I can reclaim my mouse and reclaim my show. Also, the New American Media is on X at American_media_. Subscribe to our podcast. It's under the Agree to Disagree show. That's found on Spotify and Apple. And that will encapsulate the TNAM Daily show. Because we used to just have everything was called the Agree to Disagree show. So There we are. Follow us in all of the places, please. All right. So that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Breitbart with this story. You want to know how likely is it that something bad could happen on American homeland? Well, how many people did Biden and Kamala not catch? Well, during their 4 fiscal years of the Biden administration, in air quotes, approximately 1,500 Iranian nationals were apprehended by Border Patrol agents after illegally entering the United States. Now, by the way, my commentary, if they caught 1,500, how many do you think got away? Thousands and thousands of angry Iranians. Iranians. I'm having a hard time with the pronunciation here, but there are potential sleeper cells pre-positioned all across this great country of ours. Be prepared. Stay frosty. Officials say nearly half of those people of the 1,500 that were caught were released into the U.S. interior. Yeah, just, come on in, whatever. Here's a bunch of mugshots, allegedly from the people that were detained. Data obtained by Breitbart, Texas, from U.S. Customs and Border Protection showed that between fiscal year 21 and 24, they got 1,510 Iranian nationals illegally entering, 800 of which entered during 24. Migrant apprehensions by Iranians quickly escalated to 50 in 21, 200 in 22, 460 in 23, and 800 in 24. During the first 2 months of 25, the number fell back to 50. And now, of course, last month, not a single illegal alien invader has gotten into the United States, thankfully. Thankfully. So, officials didn't disclose how many, if any, of the 729 released Iranian nationals appearing on the terrorist watch list. How many? We don't know. All Iranian migrants entering the U.S. are classified as special interest aliens. CBP reports that during the 4 years of Biden's air quote administration, 394 special interest aliens were apprehended who appear on the terrorist screening data set. That's a terrorist watch list. These include migrants from all special interest alien nationalities. I'm going to put the Stay Frosty button, because you don't let people who hate you into your home. But the Democrats did, because the Democrats don't like this country. Is that too far? Am I going too far with that? I don't think so. I think their party's proven to be who they are. They replace, really, it might be causing whiplash how quickly the Democrats have to replace their pride flags with Palestine flags, with Mexican flags, with Iranian flags, because, well, you know that phrase, they hate us because they ain't us. The Democrats will back anything that's the opposite of anything President Trump says. And they will back anybody who's talking trash about America, trying to hurt, damage, destroy America. Or remember how we're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. Remember that phrase? Fundamental transformation of the United States of America. That's what the Democrats are about. But most of us, I don't think we are. I don't think we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. I could be wrong. I don't know. All right, so the Real State of America here reporting that the Supreme Court will allow the Trump administration to remove illegal aliens to countries other than their homelands without an opportunity to challenge the removals. So on June 23, yesterday, Supreme Court ruled 6-3. By the way, guess the 3 dissenters. If you can always guess the people dissenting, I don't think they're judges. I think they're traitors, installed traitors. Let's see. I'm going to guess Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Am I close? Are these all the Biden-Obama people that they appointed? Always taking the worst possible position imaginable? Well, we could either rule to defend America and protect Americans, or we could back the bad guys. Well, shocking. 3 dissenters here. So Supreme Court rules Trump admin can resume deporting migrants to third countries, nations other than their homelands, without giving them advance notice or an opportunity to challenge their removal. Yeah. If you sneak into a nightclub and you don't have your wristband, you don't have your hand stamp. Look, I'm not in the business of advocating that the bouncer rough you up, smack you around a little bit, make you regret your bad decision. I'm not advocating for anything like that. Nothing cruel and unusual. But you get scruffed. You get grabbed by the earlobe, lifted up, and walked out the door. Ow, my ear. Shut up. Or you're lifted by your jacket and you're walked to the door. Or you're confronted and said, let's see your wristband or your hand stamp. Failure to do so means you're being escorted out of the club immediately. Let's go. No questions asked. Now, if they want to resist, then that's a whole different set of circumstances, of course. But this is not complicated. If you're in a place that you're not supposed to be, they have every right to fix that, to remedy that, to correct that problem that you caused. And look, if you're just here and you're not causing problems, you're just here. It's no big deal. Doesn't have to be. In fact, maybe in a previous life, I might have gone into some clubs without proper credentials. Maybe I didn't have a wristband or a hand stamp or an identification that proved I was of the age I needed to be there. It's not an unforgivable crime. Now, if I go in there and I just walk behind the bar and start taking money, I just start taking tip money. I'm like, yeah, I'm entitled to some of this. No, you're not entitled to any of that. And that's what's been happening with these illegal aliens. They're coming into the United States and they're taking money that's supposed to be spent to help American citizens. And that's criminal. I don't care who you are. That's not okay. So we're trying to sort all of that stuff out. Nimbus, can you get to your chair? Hold on one second. He's here, bud. Yeah, right here. Yeah. There you go. All right. The Nimbus show might be settling down now. He's on his comfy chair. We're all settled in here. This is nice. Okay. All right. Where was I? Supreme Court. So, yeah, I guess the difference here is, can you be sent somewhere other than your homeland? I don't know. If you're in a club, you're just removed and you're taken outside, the door's closed behind you, and you go wherever you need to go. But look, there's a penalty phase for doing this. Sneaking into the United States under what pretenses, with what purpose? It's a dangerous game, and we have to protect this place, and we have to check who's coming in. The ramifications of hanging out in a nightclub or a bar, you're there, you're dancing, you're talking. I mean, if you're not doing anything ridiculously stupid, whatever. But if you're in the country illegally and you're working with the cartels, you're working with terrorist cells, those are things you need to keep a real close eye upon. And any sane nation would require that as well. So, this decision by the Supreme Court lifted a lower court's injunction that previously blocked the policy and required that migrants be informed in writing and giving a meaningful chance to argue they could face torture or persecution if removed. The ruling, supported by the court's conservative majority, permits the administration to carry out these deportations while legal challenges continue. The three liberal justices dissented sharply, warning that the decision could endanger vulnerable migrants by sending them to unfamiliar and potentially unsafe nations. Look, everybody has been coached by USAID, by the Democrats, by the globalists, by the Catholic charities, by the Jewish charities, there's a lot of vested interest, and there's many. I couldn't even imagine starting to give you 20 of the top 50 right off the top of my head. They have all been coached, whether it's by a coyote from Mexico bringing up someone from El Salvador, or whether it's someone trying to put an Iranian terrorist in the trunk of a car to slip through Border Patrol so that they could detonate a dirty bomb in an American city. They've all been coached to say they're fleeing political persecution and they fear for their safety if they're returned. They're escaping persecution. You know, I've said this for decades. You know the story about the boy who cried wolf. Oh, there's a wolf. Ah, and everyone freaks out and there's no wolf. Oh, there's a wolf. Ah, and then everyone freaks out, but there's no wolf. Kind of quickly, people figure out there's not a wolf and this is a pattern, and you stop paying attention to these fear mongers. I said the same thing about racism for decades. When everything is being presented through the lens of, oh, that's racist. Oh, that's racist. Oh, that's racist. Oh, that's racist. Oh, that's, and part of this is because of our school system. Our schools are cranking out people with degrees to become professional outrage artists, community agitators like Barack Obama, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. Everything is a shakedown. Everything is bad and racist unless, maybe we can work out an agreement where you pay me a little bit and I'll go away. That's called a shakedown. And the Democrats have been pushing this for decades. You go back to the 80s. Sharpton and Jackson kind of started this stuff. When everything is racist, nothing is racist. Because it's just you've jumped the shark. In Happy Days, the sitcom with the Fonz, they reached a stage where they started running out of plot lines. So they had Fonzie take his motorcycle and jump a shark. Well, the term jumped the shark means like you sort of ran out of ideas and you just went absurd. You went so absurd that like people stopped taking you seriously. And people haven't been taking the Democrats and the media and the Democrat politicians and the teachers seriously for a long time because they're hyperbolic. It's rage bait. It's not factual, but it's straight out of a playbook. It's straight out of the Cloward and Piven playbook to try to demonize America and then gain power, control, and money in return. Oh, it's a double whammy. Take out the infrastructure of the patriarchy, of this, of that, blah, 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 blah. It's all the Marxist, Leninist, communist, socialist, globalist crap that we've always been dealing with. So, point being, when everything's racist, nothing's racist, which is why you don't throw that term around. Bubba Wallace. Oh my gosh, I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. Adam, you know who I am. He's like, well, you got to admit, the Bubba Wallace thing, I mean, it did kind of look like a noose. Look like a noose? What are you talking about? It's a garage door that goes overhead and you need to grab onto something with a loop to get some pull and bring the garage door down. And by the way, nooses were used plenty in the American Southwest. White people. Has nothing to do with race. Oh, well, it was used in the past. Yeah, a lot of things were used in the past. Tell me the last time you've seen a noose, read a story about a noose, if it wasn't someone like Cory Booker or Kamala Harris cooking it up to pass anti-noose legislation to rile people up racially for the 2024 election. Or was it 2020? You know what? It's hard to tell because it all blurs together with their bullshit. Point being, when every person sneaking into the United States is told, say that I'm fleeing persecution in my home country. Learn this phrase. I can't go back. I would fear for my life. Okay, they've all been coached to say the same thing, so you can't believe any of them now. Because this system has been so abused by the Democrats, the non-governmental organizations, and the coyotes from the drug cartels and the infiltrators who are up to malicious intent. You can't trust anybody saying that right now. And you know what? We didn't do that. They did that. They are the ones that did that. So keep that in mind. So the Supreme Court is now saying that they can get rid of illegal alien invaders and they can even go to a separate place. They don't have to go back to where they were. I mean, there's a punitive component now.
Lawmakers.
And you don't want to end up in Guantanamo Bay. You don't want to end up in El Salvador. Well, then don't sneak into America. That's a great way to avoid a problem. Don't want none, don't start none. That's what they say in the hood, right? I guess I could say it anywhere, but if you don't want none, don't start none. Don't want a problem, don't be a problem. So there you go. Deb from Sacramento saying, Brian, did you see the Clayton Morris interview with Tucker Carlson from yesterday? Really good. No, I did not. Can you refresh my memory on who Clayton Morris is? I did see people getting frustrated with Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. I think they're being called anti-Jew or anti-Semitic. But guess what? That's another perfect case. When every critique of Israel, Israeli policies, political implications of the government of Israel, this and that, is deemed anti-Semitic, when everything spoken or written about the state of Israel becomes anti-Semitic, then nothing is. That's called overplaying your hand, jumping the shark. You cannot be the boy that cries wolf every day and expect to be taken seriously. And by the way, what the hell is Ron DeSantis doing with his hate speech legislation in Florida? We have a First Amendment right. You don't need a First Amendment to protect popular speech, pleasant speech. You need a First Amendment to say things that make some people uncomfortable. Now, you can't threaten them. There are criminal acts, but just having opinions and speaking about what's happening. I mean, if you're calling to exterminate a race of people from the river to the sea and shake them off like an intifada, like shaking fleas off of a dog and wiping Israel off the face of the map like Iran and Palestine always do, well, you know, you're getting into genocidal speech. You're getting into almost specifically calling for any type of violence possible to reach the ends of complete annihilation and extinction of a group of people. I think that starts to cross into criminal activity. Hate speech. Oh, you hate something. I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm allowed to talk shit about the Steelers every day if I want to. Guess what? That can apply to all sorts of things. And you have a First Amendment right to say it. So take that with a grain of salt. But no, I'm not. Can you refresh me on who Clayton Morris is and why is that a must-watch interview? I'll put it on my radar. Thank you for alerting me to that one. Deb says, speaking of Catholic, what's a reverse exorcism? That's where the demon tells the priest to get out of the kid. Oh my God, Deb. Off the top ropes. Yikes. David's laughing. That's a great one, Deb. I like it. The Fonzie. Go write it on the bathroom wall. Yeah, I mean, come on. You talk about Americana. Fonzie. Happy Days. That's right at the top of the list. Okay, Clayton worked with Tucker at Fox News. All right. And you're saying, is Clayton Morris the guy on Redacted? I don't know. I'm all ears though. Tell me why that's something I need to check out, and I will consider it. And so can all of our viewers. By the way, all of our viewers, please hit like, please hit subscribe. At the bottom of the screen has been scrolling all the places the New American Media exists. And let me tell you that we are also in the following places with our tip jar out. We are on Patreon, where you can sign up for as little as $5 a month. You too can help this starving podcaster. The New American Media on Patreon. We're also on Venmo and Cash App at BrianEngelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. So that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If anybody wants to toss something in the tip jar, we appreciate you. Hey, here's something I don't appreciate. The View. These ladies are delusional, says the Officer Tatum. But let's listen. Stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome patient Sunny Hostin tries to claim that Trump committed war crimes, and ABC's John Carl was not having it. Carl says, well, let's take a listen to this insanity. By the way, who's watching The View other than to laugh at them? Who's funding them? Who are their advertisers? What is going on here with The View? Let's take a listen.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have called into question the constitutionality of Donald Trump's actions. He bypassed Congress, potentially violated the War Powers Resolution. I believe this is certainly a clear violation of international law at the very least. Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries accused the president of misleading the country as to his intentions. What do you think are the possible ramifications that President Trump could face for arguably overstepping his authority?
Well, look, constitutionally, only Congress has the power to declare war. The War Powers Act would make it seem very clear you need to have congressional approval on this. But president after president after president has launched military action without the approval of Congress.
Yeah.
And Congress, under Democratic and Republican leadership, has complained the president is violating the War Powers Act. This is not new. I mean, I go back. I covered Bill Clinton and the military strikes against Kosovo back in 1999. Again,
that's why I think it's more of an international law violation.
But you know, look, it's a Republican Congress right now. I don't think he's not getting any blowback from within his own party, with the exception of Tom Massie.
So what's the good of having it then if they all violate it?
Well, that's a great question. I mean,
we've been using the 2003 AUMF to authorize every military strike in about 25 years. So Congress can't be feckless and then be mad when they don't like the outcome.
Yeah. So that was after 9/11. Congress passed this authorization of military force against. It was supposed to be against Afghanistan.
Yeah.
For harboring Al Qaeda, and it has been used over and over and over and over again.
And a lot of the stuff that the military does is not approved by Congress. A shocking amount of it, actually. Texas Deacon here says, Trump did it, so we don't like it. That's the View in a nutshell. Yeah, everybody's an expert on military laws now. They used to be experts on tariffs. Now they're, experts on Middle East relations. They get their talking point memos. They get their scripts. These are script readers. That's actually what the comment here was. She must eat scripts for breakfast, says Gracie Lynn. Literally the same arguments as the same group, always, without any deviation. It's incredible. Yeah, they're script readers. We know that. By the way, to get to your question, David Ban, you are correct, sir. Deb says she's not familiar with Clayton. And Deb says the interview was great because they were talking about the whole Iran thing and Trump. It's Iran. I run so far away, couldn't get away. I looked up Clayton Morris. Every time I hear Clayton, I think of Clayton Bigsby. Clayton Bigsby. The Dave Chappelle character. Was he a Black Klansman? The blind guy? That was one of the most wild characters that's ever been on TV. Oh, I miss Dave Chappelle doing sketch comedy. I wish he could go back to that. Get a couple of writers together and just bring it back. There's no reason that he couldn't participate, at least in a minimal level, and get an ensemble cast together and just start cranking those episodes out again. They were so necessary. Anyway, Clayton Morris is an American YouTuber, real estate investor, former television news anchor. He co-hosts Redacted News on Rumble. There you go. You are correct. In his YouTube channel, alongside a podcast, Investing in Real Estate. Co-host of The Daily Buzz, Good Day Philadelphia, co-host of Fox and Friends on Fox News from 2008 to 2017. There you go. And covered consumer technology, and he left Fox in 2017, focusing on real estate. Okay, so yeah, you were right. And now it's on my radar. Thanks for letting me know. Our question about The View, we asked here in the comments, does The View only exist to be hate-watched for laughs? I think it does. So here's what President Trump put out yesterday, shared on Real America's Voice. It says, I'd like to thank the highly respected Emir of Qatar for all that he's done in seeking peace for the region. Regarding the attack today, that would be yesterday, at the American base in Qatar, I'm pleased to report that in addition to no Americans being killed or wounded, very importantly, there have also been no Qataris killed or wounded. And then he wraps up his post on Truth Social. My favorite way. My favorite way. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Oh, I wonder if Grok could keep a tally. Let me ask Grok. How many times as President Trump ended a truth post with "Thank you for your attention to this matter." Because I love it. He posted 2,200 times on Truth Social in 132 days, 17 times a day, but they don't have a number. Oh, estimated Trump used the phrase approximately 48 times, though it's unverified. I just love when Trump adds, "Thank you for your attention to this matter." I don't know why. I just think it's great. Deb says, yes, it's Iran. Iran so far away. Yes, OMG, the black racist. That was an effing hilarious sketch. I mean, Chappelle's a legend. He's a goat. That Chappelle show, I mean, for only being a couple seasons, it feels like it was on for 20 years. It was so impactful, so funny, so necessary. Deb, I hate The View and I don't watch them. Yeah, I only watch them to mock them. You know, Scott Adams had a very, very, very interesting take. You know, Scott's not doing so well. Every show could be his last. In fact, yesterday's show only went 5 minutes long. He had something he had to attend to, but with his health, every show could be his last. And it's a shame. It's like I wish someone like that could be around for 100 years. Really good thought leader. And he discussed what's about to happen. So, for example, if you go to Google, which I do not recommend you do, because Google is very slanted in what they try to give you. They try to give you spin and propaganda instead of answers. I don't like that. Google used to put a list of 20 articles. So then you'd scroll down and it's like, oh, here's what the New York Post is saying, or the New York Times, and here's what MSNBC is saying. Here's what CNN is saying. Here's a link to this. And they'll front load it with their opinion on the story to give you their version of reality, to warp it to globalist claptrap. Commie Democrat talking points. That's what they want to force feed you. Now, what Grok has been doing is they're just kind of combining it. If you ask a question, they're actually trying to just give you the answer, maybe minus some of the spin. I know Grok is kind of funny. It has a little bit of a humor bent to it, which is appreciated. But it's just the answer. And it will cite, it'll give you links. It'll say, we've compiled it based on, we read these sites and came up with this based on that. But if everyone starts to go to AI, which they are, I can't tell you last time I've used Google. I hate Google as a company. I'm going to get me a Trump phone. I think I'm going to do it. I really don't like Google at all. The way that they've demonetized my channel and tried to kneecap my career. You don't forget that stuff. You might temporarily have a stranglehold on your technology. You're nothing unless we pay you money for it. So I'm very eager to get a different carrier for that. But my point being, as we have a question and AI is going to start giving us the answers, what's going to happen is that all of these news sites are going to stop creating content because they're not needed. People aren't going to go click on these links. They're just seeing what AI is telling them. So if they don't have the advertising revenue from their stories that they're writing, that AI trains itself on to come up with the answer to the questions people are asking, then who is determining reality? Just AI? There's no reporters. What the hell does that universe look like? And so then if we don't have things to hate watch, like CNN, MSNBC, Fox, plenty of times, especially when Chris Wallace repeated the fine people hoax in the 2020 presidential debates, that's when I stopped watching them. Like, a concerted decision to say, screw Fox. Then it's just going to be general AI. It's going to be advanced AI that's going to give us the answers to things without attribution. If nobody's clicking the link to get the advertising revenue to pay the people that are working to create the content, how's the content going to get created? How soon before we can't trust reality? I mean, if you're living in this universe and you don't understand that trusting reality is a sketchy scenario at this stage, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're not paying attention. But yeah. Chappelle Show. David, I would never watch the crazy people on The View knowingly. I know. Deb, defund Google. All right. Debbie Defund, we'll call you. That's your new nickname, Debbie Defund. Announce yourself as Debbie Defund here. Yeah, defund Google, and David saying Google needs to be broken up. Well, how do you break up DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency? Google, Meta. Yeah, these are organic companies. They're totally not deep state assets. Wink. Anyway. So back to President Trump. Thank you for attention to this matter. Yeah, that was a little sidebar, wasn't it? But yeah, he says, thank you for attention to this matter. And it's like, look, they went after a base and everything's okay. I'm going to get to some updates here soon, but Lauren Lee shared this. This is Bobby Kennedy. Our comment was clean the whole damned health insurance system up from top to bottom. And so here's Bobby Kennedy announcing a program to end insurance pre-authorization. The poster says, this endless paperwork and corporate bureaucracy has slowed down American healthcare more than any other country in the world. This ends now. Thank you, Secretary Kennedy. He says,
Dr. Oz pointed out
85% of Americans say that they have had delays in healthcare because of prior authorization. The doctors hate it. It costs them 12 to 15 hours a week filling out forms. This is a massive win for everyday Americans against big insurance. I'll just say thank you, Bobby Button. Yeah, just reduce the cost, reduce the time, stop messing around, don't deny service, don't be a dirtbag. Let's go. Let's fix our healthcare system already. Top to bottom. All right, so let's talk about finances and our economy, fiat currency, gold and silver for a second. Yeah, Ron DeSantis does a lot of good stuff. I told you his hate speech stuff is pretty goofy because we have a First Amendment right to say hateful things. I'm not encouraging people to exercise that muscle very often, but you know what? That's the only way that you know that you really have the right. You have to be able to use it. Use it or lose it. A muscle will atrophy. We covered the Tyrese Halliburton injury. Torn Achilles. Who else had him? Damian Lillard and was it Jason Tatum? The Celtics dude. I think it was Tatum. Or was it the other guy? Jalen? Anyway, a lot of injuries. And I tore my ACL and my quadricep went to nothing. It went to mush instantly. I had to wait a little while before I could start rehab. And I remember the first day back in rehab doing some exercises. It went like a Snapple bottle. It went. And I got my quadricep back. But the muscle will atrophy if you don't use it, is what I'm getting at. So, yeah. First Amendment, use it or lose it. Second Amendment, use it or lose it. All of them, use it or lose it. So DC Drano is saying this is how we fight back against the Federal Reserve private banking cartel. Remember in 1913, Woodrow Wilson off the coast of Jekyll Island instituted the income tax, the Federal Reserve private banking industry, and the Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League. They go after people who say things that they call hate speech. It's anti this, it's anti that. You can't defame us. We can defame whoever we want. Thank you very much. It's called the First Amendment. And by the way, you're protecting banksters. You're trying to avoid criticism of bankers, the same bankers that Jesus drove out of the temple with a whip, the ones who are trying to get people locked into debt slavery. Isn't slavery bad, or is debt slavery okay? No. Defamation, when deserved, is a duty. But that's what all came into play in 1913. Woodrow Wilson, the Progressives, Anti-Defamation League, Federal Reserve private banking cartel, and the income tax. So let's just reverse 1913 and get back to the American ideals, shall we? Anyway, here's Ron DeSantis talking about the bill that he's signing today. Oh, the volume is muted. Here we go.
Going to sign today is legislation that is going to allow Florida to recognize gold and silver as legal tender in our state. And we have the ability to do that under the federal Constitution. There are only 2 states that have done it thus far. They're smaller states. We are the first large state to step up and to get this done. And this is right out of the Constitution of the United States. So this legislation will authorize money services business like check cashers or PayPal to transmit and accept payment in gold and silver. That means these precious metals can start functioning like real currency again, not just investment vehicles for the wealthy. And you notice what's happened in recent weeks and months. How has gold gone down or has gold gone up? Gold's gone up big time because investors are looking at this and they're hedging against, they see the bond yields have gone up. I think they moderate a little today, but when people start seeing, so the bill I'm going to sign today is legislation.
No sales tax when you use gold and silver coins. So let's go ahead and see how that goes. Shall we? Yes, we shall. All right, next story. Here's the art of the deal. Ahmed says, no nukes for Iran, no troops on the ground, no U.S. troops dead, no regime change, no nation building, no World War III. Well, maybe. Was that a little premature? We will discuss. Trump is pretty pissed today. Pretty upset. And maybe you'll be surprised at who he's most upset with. Who would you guess President Trump is most upset with today? By the way, David mentioned, we were talking earlier. He was saying, do they approve of chemtrailing? Yeah, I know. I've tweeted Bobby directly, Bobby Kennedy, asking, hey, man, I can't go out in the sky. I can't go in my yard without looking to the sky at all the shit they're spraying. Can you please stop the chemtrails? I don't want to inhale whatever garbage they're putting up there. Still waiting for that to be nationwide. Let's see here. Deb says she stopped watching Fox on election night 2020 when they called Arizona. Yeah, and also, how about we stop watching Fox when they bail on their own reporters? They go ahead. I think it was the Dominion lawsuit. All they had to argue in that case was that the anchors were reporting on a story that they believed to be true. If you believed that there's no flipping way Joe Biden got 81 million totally legitimate votes, they win the lawsuit. They're done. That's all you have to say. And by the way, go ask 100 people off the record. How many people do you think are going to go, come on, Biden didn't win that? I had close friends, family members, acquaintances, coworkers, liberals told me privately, oh, come on. Everybody knows. Kind of like how Joan Rivers said that about Michelle Obama. And that's one of those things that won't let that Big Mike story go away. Just the way she so earnestly said, Joan Rivers was asked what she was walking into a courthouse to officiate a gay wedding 15 years ago when that was a big deal or something. And they said, do you think America's ready for our first gay president? And she goes, we already have that. We already have that. Michelle's a man. He goes, I'm sorry, what? She goes, she's trans. We all know. Everybody knows. And it's okay. It's okay. And the person who was interviewing her about like gay marriage was like, what? What are you talking about? And so that rumor's been sticking around for a long time. But back to the 81 million totally legitimate votes. Ask people off the record. And they'll go, oh, come on. I know. Everybody knows they were all out to get Trump. The deep state, the Democrats, the media, half of the Republican Party can't stand him. They all got together to make sure that Trump was taken out. One way or another, they weren't letting him have a second term. Oh, of course they cheated, they say. I would say 75 out of 100 people, if you ask them off the record, do you think Biden got 81 million totally legitimate votes, or did they steal it from President Trump? I'll bet you 75% of the country would say, oh, come on. Of course they took it from him. By the way, this would be a good time to tell you about countervailing views on health and elections. Go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. Right there, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Because under duress, with a weapon to my head, under duress, I have to tell you, Google, YouTube, Meta want you to have countervailing views that will say 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of elections. Joe Biden absolutely is our most popular president of all time. You know, how much merch he sold, how he never creeped out kids and ladies by sniffing their hair, how he totally allegedly showered with his daughter inappropriately in her diary, talking about how she'd wait until super late at night so that he wouldn't walk in and join her. You know, that creep totally has 81 million completely legitimate votes. The most popular president of all time. They'll tell you my countervailing view is wrong. So use discernment. I tell you this under duress. And yeah, I've had conversations about 2,000 mules, and some people say I've had ongoing conversations that the claim was not actually verified by the evidence supported, by the evidence shown, rather, that the claim wasn't fully supported, so it didn't really accomplish its goal of proving that there were 2,000 mules. What it did was kind of show vulnerabilities and potentialities. The Lord willing, we're going to get to the bottom of this. But the point being with Fox, they didn't have to throw Tucker Carlson off of their network, the number one guy, but they did. They tossed him overboard. They jettisoned him as a sacrifice to the powers that be, the globalists that said, you're not coming after us in our beloved vote tabulation machines. If we give up the ghost and have to stop using vote tabulation machines, our U.S. aid, our CIA deep state assets all across the globe, overthrowing the will of the people in almost every country, probably every country, at least the attempt has been made in every single country to put a U.S.-friendly puppet regime in charge instead of an America first, a Brazil first. Look at Bolsonaro, look across the globe, really. If the jig was up with the voting machines, their whole system collapses. And that's why they went so hard after Trump, to fake all these air quote crimes. Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, all of the setups that he had to endure. Not to mention at least 2 well-known assassination attempts. Thank God he turned his head when he did. Otherwise, I shudder to think about where we'd be right now. So we're truly living on a blessed timeline. But yeah, the powers that be that are used to kind of scamming their way to the top, the banksters who'd sit back, do nothing, and just, I'm going to collect all of my interest because I'm so powerful. I can create money out of thin air, and you all work for me, my precious. My precious. Gollum. Gollum. The banksters are Gollum. The ring, my precious interest. I'll get you all addicted to usury, and you'll be my debt slaves forever. Yeah. So there's a lot wrapped up in all this, isn't there? Why would anybody want to get rid of a system where they get to press a button and create trillions of dollars out of thin air and then take as much as they want and throw it around? And I am the most powerful human on this planet. Look at me. Yeah, we're looking. You better know that we're looking. Maybe we're looking now more than we ever have. But yeah, Fox, when they threw Tucker as a sacrifice, you know, and they were awarded a verdict or they settled on an agreement. I doubt Fox ever even paid that. They just wanted to publicly say, nope, Look, they lost a court case. It was proven that 2020 was totally legit. That's not what it proved. It proved that Fox is led by globalists who lie about Trump. So screw Fox. So sorry, that didn't have the intended effect on me, at least. Sidebar issue, but an important issue, I think. Back to chemtrails are the same people that run chemtrailing. Yeah. DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. There's some really good books written on DARPA. DARPA as a huge problem, of course. I haven't done my Al Gore impression in a while. I have to listen to him a little bit. But yeah, he says, during my time in the United States Congress, I invented the internet. I mean, you know, working with DARPA, the internet is a DARPA program. So take that for what you will. All right. Is Trump upset with Bibi? That's your guess? Hey, your guess might not be far off. We shall see. Yeah, I know. Tucker is bigger than ever before. They did him a favor. Well, look, President Trump has this bad idea. He has this gut instinct, unfortunately, to always attack somebody that disagrees with him. I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like when he comes after Tucker Carlson. I don't like when he comes after Thomas Massie. And that's not because Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie are above reproach. You know, it's like the Anti-Defamation League. They're like, you can never criticize Jews or Israel. They're above reproach. They can never be criticized or critiqued by anybody, says they. No. I don't know what fantasy land they think they're living in where they get a magic shield that protects them from critiques and criticisms. And maybe speech where people are being honest about how they feel. But it doesn't work that way. The exact same way that the Democrats, when they'll bring up a gold star mother or a gold star father in their Democrat convention, and they'll tell you something about their kid and they'll tell you something about something, and then they get into the politics of the day, and then they'll take a stance that doesn't make sense, then they'll attack the Republican counterpart, and it's like, no. I see what you're doing here. And they go, what? Doing what? Doing what? We're just letting a gold star parent speak. The gold star parent is the father or mother of a slain service member. They go, well, we're just, they have a right to speak. Just let them speak. You go, oh, okay, because I thought you were going to do some shady shit. No, we're just letting them speak. So the rebuttal to that, a Republican will go on after watching that in the convention and say, well, look, the Democrats brought out this gold star parent who said this, which is incorrect about that policy. And then they went on to bash President Trump saying this, which is a fallacy. Just it's a totally fringe lunatic position that they're taking. How dare you criticize a gold star mother? How dare you criticize a gold star father? Don't you know they lost their child? Yeah, we know. That's a separate issue from criticizing the content of the thing they said. Wasn't the whole point of Martin Luther King to say, judge not a man on the content, on the color of his skin, but rather on the content of his character? That's how I was raised. I don't give a shit what you look like or where you came from. Are you speaking gibberish? Are you a lunatic? Or are you coming with some facts, wisdom, insight, knowledge, and something useful out of your mouth, out of your gullet when you open up the lips that start a flapping? No, you don't get a magic shield that says, oh, can't come at me, bro. Can't come at me. Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me. Don't confront me, bro. Don't challenge my shit opinion, bro. Doesn't work for the ADL. It doesn't work for Israel. It doesn't work for Gold Star parents. It doesn't work for any skin color group. It doesn't work for any religious group. It doesn't work for any group that engages in whatever sexual activity they should. Every group is allowed to be criticized. Every demographic group. Break it down by race, gender, age, doesn't matter. How dare you criticize? That is an elderly man up there. He has shared wisdom and experience. How dare you attack him, good sir? How dare you? How dare you? Says Greta Thunberg. No, how dare you tell me that I cannot criticize whoever the hell I want to? So beware the people that are trying to shut your mouth. That's exactly what the Democrats and the deep state did during COVID. Oh, shit. I lost my monetization on YouTube. They suspended my YouTube channel. They took away my Facebook page. They took away my Facebook personal profile. They suspended me countless times, never gave me a reason, never explained, never gave me an opportunity to correct any alleged issue. They just silenced me. Was it because of my take on Kyle Rittenhouse? Was it because of my take on COVID? Was it because of my take on the summer of love riots of 2020? Was it because of my take on the 2020 elections? Was it because I don't know. I don't know, because these are unaccountable companies. They have Section 230 protections that say, well, we're just a provider. Like a telephone company, you can't hold us responsible for what two people say to each other on a telephone call. We're just providing the service. We're just the internet. Like we're just a site that lets people talk. You can't hold us criminally responsible when people say messed up stuff or engaging in illegal activity. No. We're just a platform. Meanwhile, they're censoring opinions they don't like, which means they become a publisher, which means the publisher can be held to account for the stuff they're publishing and the stuff that they're deleting and omitting. But they somehow found a way to get it both ways. Google did it, Meta did it. They got away with it. And they did away with me. You know why? Because they hate you. President Trump's greatest message during the 2024 campaign is, and a lot of people say they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be in the way. And that's the truth. They're silencing me, not because they hate me. Yes, they do. But it's not about me. It's you, the viewer, you, the listener, you, the consumer, you, the crowdfunder, you, the person that supports the New American Media, whether that's TNAM specifically, our company, or just the New American Media in general. They hate you. They don't want you to have countervailing voices. They want one opinion. They want one opinion only. That's all you're allowed to hear. It's the MSNBC take, the CNN take. The system is indeed rigged. But back to Trump real quick with Tucker. Yeah, Tucker is bigger than ever. They did him a favor. But Trump attacks him. When he was being critical of, a couple days ago, he came out, he's like, Tucker Carlson, he basically bashed him for not being on a network. It's like, yeah, he's bigger than the network. But Trump just has this, it's like a reflex. You tap the knee and the leg moves up. You have a reflex. Touch a stove that's hot and your hand just jerks back. You're like, oh, it's reflexive. And with Trump, sometimes he gets in his own way. Like going after Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie. Like I said, it's not because they're perfect, and it's not because those two people are not allowed to face criticism. Every group is allowed to face criticism. Nay, they must face criticism because iron sharpens iron. That's how you figure out what good ideas are and what bad ideas are. I'm not going after Trump for going after Thomas Massie and Tucker Carlson because they're perfect, but because they might actually be right on some of these issues about the big, beautiful bill spending too much, about the commander-in-chief straying too far past his presidential powers. Well, the other guys did it. That's not really a defense. They did that in the Nuremberg trials. Well, I was just following orders. Yeah, well, you're guilty of what you did. By the way, it's 11/11, make a wish. But yeah, Trump has this knee-jerk reaction to attack people that attack him, and it works a lot of the time. But really, going after Thomas Massie and going after Tucker Carlson, I at hard stop, I defended Massie and I defended Tucker against Trump. And I told Trump, come on, man, back off. Don't do that. That's not a good look. I don't like this. Whether he listens or anybody, I don't know. But that's what I said, and that's how I felt. So that was a lot to say. These stories are nuanced, though. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of different angles to consider. Deb says Trump needs to learn humility and accept his mistakes. Yeah, well, old dog, new tricks. We'll see. Gentry Geevers here, moving on. So Trump literally pulls off the impossible, destroys Iran's nuclear program, and the left and the woke right are still making a fuss? It's okay to admit you were wrong. President Trump put this out. Gotta mute this, but there he is dancing. Hold on. I'm coming. That's the Sam and Dave song. But President Trump says, congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between. That's a weird phrase. Congratulations to everyone. It's been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran. Some say Iran. I don't know. That there will be a complete and total ceasefire. Only I could do that. Okay, I added that last part. But Trump declared a total and complete ceasefire. So we're going to ask premature button. It's a question mark. We shall see. By the way, Wesley for Texas has done really well. He was on with Bill Maher. I could probably play this whole interview. He did a fantastic job, but let's listen to this clip here.
You guys had a really bad candidate.
He's talking to Bill Maher about how you guys, the Democrats, had a really bad candidate.
In Kamala Harris. Okay. People also have to understand is that was one of the most undemocratic things I've ever seen. What you did was you took Joe Biden, you put him in a room, put on Golden Girls, gave him some chocolate chip ice cream. Chocolate chip. And then by the time he walked out, he was no longer running for president, and he had no idea what was going on. So when you combine that with a candidate that not a single Democrat voted for in that.
Not a single Democrat voted for Kamala Harris in that primary. Bernie Sanders was completely robbed of his opportunity to lead the Democrat Party in 2016 and in 2020. In 2016, they had all the Democrats have, I don't think Republicans have it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe Republicans have super delegates, or else Jeb Bush would have been the nominee, by the way. But the Democrats have super delegates. It's like voters, but our votes really count. Like, we're way more important, so we count for like way more. So the people in the Democrat Party in 2016 and 2020, they picked Bernie Sanders. It was easy. But the Democrat Party rigged their primaries to force Hillary Clinton upon you, to force Joe Biden upon you, and to force Kamala Harris on you. Nobody wanted Kamala Harris. They would have voted for Bernie again. But they didn't let the people vote. They let Joe Biden go through all of that. To then, just take him out and we'll install Kamala Harris. The most anti-democratic party is coincidentally the Democratic Party.
That primary, it creates a disaster. That's another big reason why President Trump won, is because the Democrat Party lost faith in the American people because they broke the process in order to get the right candidate to actually run for president. You guys had a really bad candidate in Kamala Harris.
So yeah, Wesley for America. He had a lot of good quotes. All right, let's take a look here. This is the Media Research Center. One of the biggest scandals in American political history is the Biden auto pen. Biden was out to lunch. He didn't. The reports coming in, I don't know if you can trust all of these, but they're saying he would get lost in the White House, had a hard time getting out of his closet, finding the bathroom. The guy's brain is mashed potatoes. And it was in 2019, by the way. 2019, the 2020 election. They hid him for good reason. So with the Biden auto pen, somebody was running America, but it wasn't our president. And so ABC, CBS, NBC, the fake news, or as Google calls them, authoritative sources. See, they prioritize their fake news, their lying legacy media, over independent media who gets the stories right. so that they can get advertising dollars for Coca-Cola and Toyota trucks. No, not us. We're not allowed to get advertising dollars. The Biden auto pen received 0 minutes of coverage, according to Media Research Center, on ABC, CBS, and NBC. Whereas the Karen Reed trial got 229 minutes. Yep, mainstream media is poison. We're going to put disconnect from the old American media and join the new American media. Because we cover the best stories and don't shelter treasonous Democrat activity. Zero minutes of coverage on the Biden auto pen. You know, you don't hate the lying legacy media enough. Tulsi Gabbard here says only President Trump could have achieved this historic ceasefire agreement that brings us closer to peace. It was a Herculean effort that deserves the thanks of all the people of Israel, Iran, Middle East, America, the entire world. Congratulations and thank you, President Trump. This post here from Goldie Gamari says the Israeli Defense Force just blew up the Iran Republican Guard IRGC building, where the terrorist Islamic Republic's morality police beat Masha Amini to death just because she wasn't wearing her mandatory hijab properly. I'm in tears. Thank you, Israel. Well, if you're going to force a lady to wrap her face up, what is that? Because you can't control yourself? Oh, I would lust too much. Well, then grow up, pal. Grow up. You're in a place that's 125 degrees in the sun, making women walk around in black face masks like a lamp, like a Halloween ghost. Not cool. So if they took out the building where they killed this lady because she didn't cover her face up, you know, right? I'm not going to be crying over that. The Blaze reporting Florida just approved plans for an alligator Alcatraz. That's actually a good band name, Alligator Alcatraz, which will be a massive detainment facility holding illegal aliens surrounded by alligators.
In the middle of the Everglades. Florida's been leading on immigration.
Well, there's music, so I can't play it. All right, there's music, so I can't play it.
Leaders to
Doggone it. Take the music out. But I want to follow this. I'm very interested in Alligator Alcatraz. We did post this earlier today. Democrats are okay with Iran having a nuke, but you can't have a gun. Make that make sense. All right, we'll take a look. There was a ceasefire allegedly, and now bombs are dropping, and President Trump, he's on a war path right now. He is not too happy. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
The reporter said something about Iran and bombs or missiles or something, and he said, yeah, they violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before.
As soon as we made the deal, Israel dropped a bunch of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. So what? They said, we're going to announce a peace deal in 6 hours. So for that next 6 hours, they went absolutely hog wild. Well, number one, why are you making a deal 6 hours from now? Why not just do it immediately? Well, they're in the middle of their missions. Yeah. Sounds like a group that doesn't want to stop bombing.
The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Yes, David, what a mess the Democrats are. But look, what a mess Israel and Iran are. They've been at war for so long. What's he say? Quote, they've been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It is a permanent bloodlust, blood feud between these people. They will not stop killing each other. I am beyond sick and tired of tensions rise in the Middle East as a bomb, a homicide bomber. Oh, the Middle East is, it's on pins and needles today as such and such. That's all they do is kill each other. The amount of people in my life that are sending me private messages, probably shit they would never dare put in writing. They would never say on a podcast. You know what they're saying? I wonder if I should read a few. Let me read. Let me read. Maybe I'll just read one. There's one off the top of my head. Okay. So this was when things started getting ramped up. I got a message, and this person says, I'm on the side of unload all of our destroyers on the region and be done with it by morning. Anything less, and it's just going to keep going. I replied, I think everyone is sick of the caliphate shit. The Obama doctrine is being dismantled. That was maybe some other context is what we were talking about, but the response comes in, Trump is sick of it. Send the full payload and be done with it forever. Turn it into a glass factory. Zip. Whoosh. All the sand melts together. It's just glass everywhere. You have children in the sandbox who will not stop fighting with each other. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with that? What are we supposed to do with that? This is our problem. This is constantly our problem. American blood and treasure has to be wasted in the Middle East again. Maybe. President Trump. These people have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the F they're doing. But I did find it weird that they said, all right, we're going to start the ceasefire in 6 hours. Trump, President Trump, I urge you to look in the mirror. Now, I don't know who you negotiated this with, whether this was Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, go down the laundry list of people and advisors. Yeah. Israel dropped a full load of bombs, and then Trump came back and dropped the F-bomb. Trump was also posting about the N-bomb, people throwing around the N-word recklessly. And by N-word, I mean nuclear. That's where we're at. We're on the verge of just one stupid person doing one stupid thing that could set us off on a totally different timeline forever. That's what happens when you escalate this shit to warfare. And so, by the way, quick note here. If you're seeing people sharing memes and such, claiming that Democrats never start wars, it's always Republicans that start wars. Okay. Please just keep in mind that Ukraine-Russia, that was all set in motion by Barack Hussein Obama, Joe Biden, and Victoria Nuland overthrowing the leader of Ukraine to install Vladimir Zelensky to start pushing weapons systems from NATO, trying to get Ukraine into NATO, pushing Russia to the point where they responded and said, you're not doing this on our border. And that's what started it. That's a Democrat war that Trump is trying to clean up. And it's not easy. I'll have it done in 1 week. It'll be done in a day. Frankly, I could have it done in an hour, but I'll give it a day. And look, I do believe he is trying, but he's not a magician. He's not an omnipotent, omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing being that can snap his fingers and get things done. He can't even deport that Kilmar Abrego Garcia human trafficker without some idiot judge stepping up to try to block him. He can't do his job. He's getting blocked almost everything he's trying to do. Now he's succeeding with a lot of them, fine. And oh yeah, trust the process. Okay, fine. But no, the Democrats have plenty of blood on their hands for all this stuff. And a lot of presidents over and over again, Obama and Hillary, they all say Iran can't have a nuke. Iran can't have a nuke. Iran can't have a nuke. So now the facilities were hit, allegedly. And there's some reports that there's nothing in there. Oh, wow. I recall having a conversation with the great Larry Elder, the sage of South Central. And Larry takes the controversial these days opinion. He says, no, I'm not going to throw George W. Bush under the bus for that. Oh, there were no weapons of mass destruction. He had enough time to get them out of there. He knew it. They moved all that stuff by truck out of there. So when they went in and didn't find it, it was already gone. I'm like, I don't know about that, Larry. That's a bold opinion, but would you be surprised if Iran took their stuff and got them out of the 3 places that they knew were going to get attacked? I wouldn't be surprised. Deb is saying, I feel this is a distraction from everything going on, like the Epstein files. Yeah, it sure seems like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino gave a hostage video, almost like they were told, stand down. Here's the company line. Epstein offed himself. Say it and be done with it. Then out of both sides of your mouth, Kash Patel, say, well, we're not going to re-victimize. Well, look, we're not going to re-victimize the women and children in these videos. We're not going to do it, Kash says. Then he says, well, there are no videos. We don't have any videos. So which one is it, Kash? You're lying to me. Does anyone know if anything is true? No. What if we're being played? What if? Deb says, David, that's a question that got Tucker fired from Fox. Does anyone know if anything is true? So President Trump is furious. And we'll put regime change in Israel, question mark. Is it time for new leadership? All right. Ricky Lynn here posted this, and she says, I've got racism fatigue, protester fatigue, white liberal woman fatigue, communist fatigue, Marxism fatigue, same playbook fatigue, warmongering fatigue, gender war fatigue, propaganda fatigue, illegal immigrant fatigue, LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ fatigue, anti-patriotism fatigue, feminist fatigue. Anyone else? That's a lot of fatigue. Oh, here's Al Gore. Comedian Jeff Dye having a conversation with Jillian Michaels.
I'm a 2001 liberal. That's just Republican now, which I think in this town makes me a Nazi. You know, like, it's the same thing. I'm pro-gay, and that's not good enough. You have to be pro-trans and pro all this new thing. But if a girl was to like a truck and baseball, instead of us in 2001, we go, that's a tomboy. Now we would go, oh, well, she has to cut off her and she must be trapped in that body. It's an attack on the gay community, in my opinion.
You're sterilizing them, you're compromising their brain development, or bone development. The fact that we're getting past that so easily?
Yeah. I'm afraid it's far more nefarious than that. What is a safe space? They say it's a safe space, but really it's just a way that they can get you alone and indoctrinate you.
Oh my God, you're
They'll
so
say, oh,
right.
you don't have to ask your parents. They wouldn't get it. They're old. Don't ask your older brothers or sisters. We'll give you a safe place where we can give you Marxist nonsense. It's not safe. It's not safe from you. You're a grown-up and I'm a little kid and you're trying to confuse me.
There's a law that says if kids are transitioning socially in school, you don't have to tell the parent.
Which is what people wanted to separate religion and state from. Is if you're going to be teaching my kids all day, I would appreciate it if you didn't try to infiltrate their mind with religious things that maybe we don't want our kids to have. But it's perfectly okay to teach them about their religion of being woke, or their religion of gender theory, or their religion of communist values. Like, that's their religion. Like, they're literally indoctrinating them.
True.
I'm a 2001 liberal. That's just Republican now, which I think in this town makes me a Nazi. You know, like...
So that, I mean, the Democrat Party has absolutely changed. We don't even resemble it anymore. It's not recognizable anymore is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Bill Clinton would not be welcome in the Democrat Party today. JFK would not be welcome in this crazy lunatic fringe Democrat Party today. That's why they, what was one of the polls I was reading, 19% approval rate? I think 19% is too high for what they're pushing. Anyway, let's take a look here. Is this going to play? There is nothing to play. Is it?
And where you're from?
Yeah, Billy, coming from Dublin, Ireland.
Okay. Well, here's a name that sounds kind of Irish. Who is Elizabeth McDonough?
Elizabeth McDonough, is that the comedian?
Who is Elizabeth McDonough?
Oh, I don't know.
Elizabeth McDonough is in government and one of the most powerful people you've never heard of. She's the Senate parliamentarian, a referee who decides what's allowed in the big, beautiful bill. And where you're from?
Yeah, Billy, coming from Dublin, Ireland.
Okay. Well, here's a name that sounds...
So yeah, Grant Godwin says, remember how Senate Republicans actually did something for the Second Amendment? Wait a minute, what? Breaking news. Former NFL player Chandler Jones has tragically passed away at 33 years old? Oh, not the Chandler Jones everyone's thinking it is. In a car accident. Not Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones. Okay. That's weird. Okay. Had some interesting information I wanted to share with you there. Take it for what it is. Okay. So remember how Senate Republicans actually did something for the Second Amendment once by removing suppressors, small barrel rifles, and SBSs from the NFA in the big, beautiful bill? Well, an unelected dumbass Democrat, Elizabeth McDonough, is trying to screw us once again, is the claim. The American people elected President Trump and a Republican Congress to lead, not Elizabeth McDonough. The typical liberal who posted this says, I'm going to be 100% honest. I had no idea who this turd was or what she did until yesterday. She's an unelected Democrat who was appointed by Senator Harry Reid, who is literally dead now, in 2012 as the Senate parliamentarian. How it's even possible that an unelected gatekeeper can kill policy so easily blows my mind. Guess what? Majority Leader Thune and VP Vance can fire her. Do it now. Appoint a Republican to this position while we have the power. All right, keep your eyes peeled on that one. Insider paper says Trump says Vladimir Putin called him and offered to help in dealing with Iran, per Reuters. Dissident West said the only problem with this is neither one of them can make Netanyahu do what they want. Good grief, this is so convoluted. President Trump post, it says, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. What is the timeline here? About a half hour later, he says, Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. 6 minutes later, Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities.
Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is...
It is out of both sides, man.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
I'll play it a second time.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have a response to Iran says that Iran violated...
I mean, you know, it takes President Trump to say it that blunt. Antunes says America is an occupied country, and he's asking what percentage of U.S. politicians are funded by Jewish organizations, and he says 74% of U.S. politicians are funded by a foreign nation. That's according to Grok, allegedly. Miss Muckraker says, white liberal women are seriously insufferable. I cannot fathom looking at the world like they do, holding so much hate and entitlement for everyone and everything. To be so ignorant and so loud at the same time. Jesus, take the wheel. A white liberal woman films herself at drive-thrus asking businesses if they cooperate with ICE and report their illegal employees. Yeah, do you know the liability you have if you're hiring an illegal alien without proper documentation? I used to work in staffing. If we didn't have documentation, we were toast. And you know what? The companies that were letting somebody work on their sites without insurance, they are a massive liability. Massive. And that was one of the major selling points. But you know what they did? They would go out there and bid the job for half. We're doing things right the right way, and we're being punished by people looking for a deal. So they'll get a couple of illegal aliens to work their event. Guess what? You're one slip and fall away from being sued into oblivion. Yeah, it's a problem. But she's telling these companies she'll only give her business to companies who won't report illegal alien invaders. Wall Street Ape says, I have no words to describe how insane these people are. Approximately 90% of therapists are liberal, and 76% are women, and 86% are white. Wow. This Mel Ages Well says, as a conservative who's also a therapist, I can confirm that most other therapists are literally insane. Gallup and Pew research from 20 to 23 suggests liberal women report higher rates of depression and anxiety than conservative women. Yeah, because they believe all the lies and the propaganda. So liberal women become therapists and tell other people how to deal with their emotions when they are the most depressed and anxiety-filled demographic. Oh, my gosh. Here's a TikToker that asks Iran to bomb red states because they voted for Trump. Oh, my God. Nice unibrow, by the way. So this Mahmoud Khalil arrives at Newark Liberty Airport and vows to continue the fight for Palestinian rights. And look who's right next to him. That's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's who they are. So the U.S. government under the Trump administration accused Mahmoud Khalil of leading activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization, following his arrest by Immigration and Customs Enforcement March 8 of 25. His pro-Palestinian activism during the 24 Columbia University protests involved distributing pro-Hamas propaganda and posed adverse foreign policy consequences. Radio Genoa reports this: King Charles of England is quoting the Quran in praising Muslims for their enormous contribution to British society and culture. It sounds like a joke, but it isn't. England has fallen. Look at the videos. Where was that? France, where all those women were at a concert and they're all getting stabbed by the illegal alien invaders, allegedly, perhaps. And by the way, talking about this, the growth in England and Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Muslim population in the UK is 4 million, about 6% of the total UK population. That's 1.51 million growth, 54% increase. The terms Muslim and Islam are related but distinct. Islam is the religion, a monotheistic faith based on the Quran and teaches of Prophet Muhammad. Muslim refers to a person who follows Islam. So a Muslim practices Islam, but the two terms are not identical. One denotes the faith and the other is the adherent. Ms. Muckraker also says the U.S. could lose more immigrants than it gains for the first time in 50 years. And look, you go back to that original quote that I haven't seen people using it, but it makes sense and I like it. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. And you cannot let massive numbers of people into the country without assimilating, without changing your country, without permanently changing the fabric, fundamentally transforming the United States of America. That's not good. You bring in some rookies, some free agents to your team, but you keep your team culture. You coach them up. They decide they want to be there. They learn the playbook. They speak English. They stay out of trouble. And they join the team. Otherwise, they're invaders. Otherwise, they're not working for your same goals. Get them off your team. This one, Christie's Donuts in California says illegals are all hiding, so there's no customers. The only thing I can think of, says Wall Street Apes here, when I see these videos is, what is the real number of illegal aliens in California? How can so many businesses not have any customers because illegals are hiding? Denver, Colorado is pushing an extension for its license plate reading cameras until city leaders are satisfied the data won't be used to round up illegal aliens. Democrats are disabling cameras so illegals won't be caught. Police there say they let the ATF use their license plate trackers, and the ATF listed the reason for some search as ICE. Operation Dragon Eye in Tampa Bay, Florida, led to the rescue of 60 children, 9 to 17 years old, with 8 arrests, including one for human trafficking. Underscoring Florida's commitment to combating human trafficking and reuniting missing children with their families. Wait till you learn how many children have been trafficked into horrific situations because of what Biden, Kamala Harris, the Democrats did at our southern border. I covered this a week or two ago from Rasmussen Reports. There is more diversity of thought on the political right than that on the political left. Once you take one opinion on the left, you have to stay within these very tight constraints. Very little room for conversation or debate or difference of opinions. That's why it's like if Greta Thunberg comes out on one opinion, you go, Adam Carolla talked about this. He goes, why is it that I know what all of her top 20 opinions are going to be on everything just because I know her opinion on one thing? This is why. It's groupthink. They get their script and they have to repeat it. On the political right, the Republicans, Libertarians, they're all over the place on this graph, this chart, this graph. Anyway. Anna Paulina Luna, Representative Anna Paulina Luna here, Says Senator Tom Tillis just slipped a massive gift to big pharma, big tech, and woke corporations into the big, beautiful bill. His anti-litigation finance plan slaps a 41% tax on the very tool that helps ordinary Americans fight back in court. This bill protects elites and punishes whistleblowers, inventors, and retirees. It's a corporate shield dressed up as reform. This is not good legislation. Strip it from the bill, Leader Thune. Boston Democrat activist Judge Brian Murphy, appointed by Joe Biden, is now willfully defying the Supreme Court's ruling. Here's Stephen Miller on with Sean Hannity yesterday.
Your reaction, this court decision is massive, Steve.
Yes, this is an incredible victory, the Supreme Court win. It allows President Trump, as the law has long said, but the courts have blocked, it allows President Trump to send illegal aliens convicted of rape, murder, homicide, assault, battery, crimes against children to any country around the world that is willing to accept them. So whether that be South Sudan, or whether it be Somalia, or whether it be Ethiopia, any country in the world that is willing to accept these monsters, we can get them out of our country and be free of them forever. The only thing I have to share tonight, Sean, in a little bit of breaking news, is that the district court judge in Boston has said he's going to defy the Supreme Court's ruling. So expect fireworks tomorrow when we hold this judge accountable for refusing to obey the Supreme Court.
Your reaction, this court decision is massive, Steve.
So let's keep our eyes peeled. Brian Murphy, protecting violent illegals, defying the U.S. district judge. I'm sorry, defying the Supreme Court. This is just a compilation of when it's not your time yet. Look at all these near-death situations barely avoided by so many people. Ugh. You could watch this for days. But it's just a reminder to stay frosty. Keep your head on a swivel.
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason
talking about the fake news being gutless losers.
We're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
No, Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon. And they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks, are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
Israel says that they violated the
You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace. I think it's been...
So there's countervailing views. There are differentiated opinions on what level of damage was done. Did they get rid of the nuclear program? Did they already move stuff away? It's fog of war. They say whenever there's a big story that makes you angry or something, just slow down, give it 72 hours. You got to let information funnel through. There will be a lot of fake information that you have to sift through. Not that we're going to get it all figured out in 72 hours, but there's a lot of bad reporting, misreporting, malicious reporting that will happen in the aftermath of any story. So we will be covering it to kind of see where we're at. Liz Wheeler offered this as a thought. It was an interesting take here. She says, listen, I'll be honest. If you were wrong about COVID, I don't take you seriously now. If you freaked out and locked down, masked, and shamed people for not masking, if you social distanced and pushed the mRNA vaccine, I don't forget you did all of that. There are certain moments of utter clarity in politics. People's behavior during COVID was one of those times. It was defining. I feel the same way about the ridiculous panic over Iran, Israel, and Trump bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. The amount of people who have been just plain wrong is staggering. The panicins. World War III will happen, they said. Forever war, chaos in the Middle East, nuclear holocaust, massive Iranian retaliation, Trump blackmailed by Israel, Trump suckered by neocons, Trump's ruining his legacy, Trump should be impeached. It's insane. And all the panicins were dead wrong on literally every single thing. And what's worse, many aren't letting go. In the face of impending peace, Trump was right in his long-held dual position against forever wars and against Iran with a nuclear weapon. The wrongies are doubling down. It's weird. Honestly, some of my faves were utterly embarrassingly wrong, and it's jarring. The neocons, by the way, have also been hideously wrong, but obviously. Neocon warmongers with an evil fetish for death have been blinded by bloodlust and greed for decades. They reared their ugly heads this week too, and it's a chilling reminder. It's COVID clarity deja vu, a startling moment to again decide whose commentary to take seriously from now on, based on how wrong or right they were with their takes on Iran and Trump. Hard to hear, but true. Thank you for your attention to the matter. Yeah, I love that phrase. So what do you make of what she said there? Is that something you would agree or disagree with? I would agree. There's a lot of bad takes. And I offered, I listen to what people are saying. I unpack it. I'll put thoughts out there. Everything I say is not always a personally held belief. It's just stuff that's going on. They're conversations that we have to have. We need to discuss everything with boldness, with clarity. And question boldly even the existence of God, for if he exists, he would surely prefer reason than that over blindfolded fear. David saying, that sounds right. People who don't want to align with America shouldn't be there. Of course, David is on the outside looking in. He said they're not here. And David agrees with Liz Wheeler. So yeah, there's a lot of shitty takes. Deb says she mostly agrees. What part did you disagree with, Deb? You said mostly. Was there a part that you didn't quite care for? But anyway, that was what I wanted to share with you on our Instagram feed. Let's switch over for a lightning round here on X, and we will button up today's show. Gateway Pundit reporting, lawyer who works for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden called Trump unfit for office is now embedded in Trump's Pentagon as a non-political staffer. Oh, no. No, that's very political. Luke Radowski, talking about President Trump's harsh words for violating the ceasefire. Luke says, one thing Trump could do is pull out all support, stop sending illegal weapons and bombs while also no longer defending Israel, defending them as a threat to get them to back down here. Will he do that, though? We'll see. Mike Benz reports Congress had to pass a law in 1998 to stop U.S. aid from forcibly sterilizing people in Peru. What? Vincent Major says, I'm learning about this deep, dark rabbit hole, in case anyone still thinks U.S. aid does humanitarian work. Here's an interview from Terrible posting this out. Check that one out. Good grief. Warning, Pam Bondi just defended the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Drug Enforcement Agency merger idea before the House Appropriations GOP. A super agency of gun control enforcers would undoubtedly be weaponized against the Second Amendment rights of the people, and this must be stopped, says Gun Owners of America. Check out our show from yesterday. Wait, where's our show from yesterday? This one. Thunder win NBA title over Pacers, plus World War III odds following U.S. strike on Iran. Now I'm saying Iran. That's different. Trump really not happy with Israel. But look, President Trump, I need you to look in the mirror, pal. If you're not really happy with Israel, tell me who negotiated that the ceasefire would give you, just give you 6 more hours to get as many punches in as possible. No, if you ring the bell and you go to the next round, you stop swinging at each other. The clock runs out in the ring, you stop swinging. So you got to blame yourself for letting. When I watched that, I couldn't understand. Oh, well, for 6 hours, they're just finishing their missions. Are they? Sounds like a fake peace deal. It sounds like they didn't have an intention of stopping. It's like they got these long-term war plans, and it's like, no, we have strategic goals we have to meet regardless, and if we don't, it's going to be a failure. Okay. Well, that's the opposite of a ceasefire. Alex says, how dare us try to stop a gigantic new war? How dare us be happy there is a ceasefire between Israel and Iran? The disgraced neocons of the George W. Bush and Dick Cheney era are really trying to make a pathetic comeback right now. We're not out of the woods yet, but I'm praying that Trump's plan is successful. Let me see if I can pull this up here. It is crazy. My views on YouTube. You know, thousands of views and all the watch hours, and my current subscribers go down. It shows that I'm up 2 subscribers, but when I refreshed it, I actually went down. YouTube is a trash site. I can't replaced. I did a walk and talk with Alex Jones. Can I find it? Oh, good. They let me see it. This was this was me in 2016 at the Republican National Convention in Cleveland talking to Alex Jones about never Trumpers. Let me see if I have the aspect ratio right. Hold on. No, let me share the new screen. Where are we at? Nope. This is. There it is. Share this tab instead. Yep. Ran into Alex outside the Republican convention and asked him about never Trumpers. Here we go.
Can I ask you a quick one, Alex?
Yeah, go ahead.
For what's going on with the never Trump people at this stage of the campaign?
They're just Hillary operatives of the Pentagon that want to have war with Russia. They're a bunch of assholes. George Herbert Walker Bush dicks. And, Trump's not perfect. They don't want nuclear war, so I'm backing him.
Let me play that one more time. There's a lot that comes out here in about 15 seconds.
With the never Trump people at this stage of the campaign?
They're just Hillary operatives of the Pentagon that want to have war with Russia.
Hillary operatives at the Pentagon who want war with Russia.
Stage of the campaign.
They're just Hillary operatives of the Pentagon that want to have war with Russia. They're a bunch of assholes. George Herbert Walker Bush dicks.
A bunch of assholes, a bunch of George Herbert Walker dicks. George Herbert Walker Bush dicks.
And, Trump's not perfect. They don't want nuclear war, so I'm backing him.
Trump's not perfect, but he doesn't want nuclear war, so I'm backing him. I mean, this was from 9 years ago. I can't believe this was 9 years ago. But that's essentially, where is that page? What Alex is saying here. How dare us be happy there's a ceasefire? The disgraced neocons of the George W. Bush and Dick Cheney are really trying to make a pathetic comeback right now. We're not out of the woods yet, but I'm praying that Trump's plan is successful. Here's a weird story. Los Angeles County sheriffs make it clear they side with Iran, in a now deleted tweet. Los Angeles County sheriffs put a tweet out saying their hearts go out to the victims and families impacted by the recent bombings in Iran? What? Well, the tragic event occurred overseas. LA County Sheriff's Department closely monitoring the situation alongside local, state, and federal partners. No known threats to LA County. However, out of an abundance of caution, we're increasing patrol checks in places of worship and other sensitive locations throughout the country. What? In the world is that? What in the world is that? So they outrageously posted this, and after getting lambasted for the ridiculous post, the department edited this and then deleted it completely, and then finally apologized for ever doing it in the first place. They say they're conducting an internal review, but given their woke sheriff, Robert G. Luna, don't expect any real accountability. Take a listen.
The LA County Sheriff's Department apologizing for a now deleted post to X they made over the weekend after Iran's nuclear sites were bombed. It said, our hearts go out to the victims and families impacted by the recent bombings in Iran. After getting much public criticism, Sheriff's Department took down the post. They later apologized, saying it was offensive and inappropriate. Department says, as a law enforcement agency, we do not comment on foreign policy or military matters. It says the post was made in error. The LA County Sheriff's Department apologizing for a now...
The post was made in error? No, doing something in error is like you drop a fly ball. You can't turn a double play. This was a very intentional act. This wasn't an error. Anyway. That's the wrong thing to say, to call that an error. All right, so yeah, Texas Gun Rights says it's official. Governor Abbott signs SB 1596, removing short barrel firearms from state prohibited weapons list. It goes in effect September 1. Shorter barreled rifle doesn't magically make it more dangerous. It doesn't justify permits or regulations or jail time. Your senators have a chance to undo 100 years of arbitrary infringement. So that's good. Short barrel regulations are just as dumb as silencer regulations. Side by side, it's like 2 inches smaller. It's like one is a bad one and one's okay. It's so stupid. And short barrel rifles actually have a diminished range of effectiveness, just by the way, in case you were curious. So yeah, magistrate judge, according to Eric Daughtry, rules that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is not to be detained by the Trump administration and will soon rule on his release. Lunacy, total lunacy. Keep him detained and overturn this ruling. Nick Sorter says a magistrate, by the way.
All right.
Here's the stop in Tennessee.
People here, don't you? It's 146. Yes.
Human trafficking.
Yeah. I go right now is staying in Maryland, but we go the next. Yeah, with him.
Human trafficker. This activist judge wants to put a human trafficking wife beater back on the streets before trial. No, he's illegal. Take him into ICE custody. ICE has been forced to place a detainer on Kilmar Abrego Garcia after a Tennessee judge ordered his release in his criminal case. I'm telling you, we have got to remove these treasonous judges as soon as possible. It doesn't make any sense. U.S. Magistrate Judge Barbara Holmes denies the government's request to hold Kilmar Abrego Garcia despite his human trafficking indictment and risk of flight. But he's still not getting out because there's an ICE detainer on him. Suspected MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Good grief. He's receiving top-shelf legal services pro bono while U.S. citizens facing criminal charges must pay out of pocket. Why is that? There's a report here on the Tennessee Star shared this. This is allegedly the magistrate that let the trafficker Abrego Garcia go. Barbara Holmes, a federal magistrate judge in Tennessee. How long are we going to take this lawlessness from federal judges? Oh, look, it's a white liberal woman. Aren't they the root of all the problems in this country? Well, maybe not all, but how about most? How about many? How about far too many? We'll go with that. Let's be honest. We can't pin everything on them, just most things. So Elon posted this with the eyebrow raised. Breaking, according to Didi, Google X spinout, IYO, which makes smart earbuds from 2018, alleges Sam Altman and OpenAI heard their pitch, passed, and got Johnny Ive to try it before copying it, buying his company for $6.5 billion and calling it IO. The most dramatic must-read tech lawsuit this year. Sam Altman at the middle of it again. Hey, John Rich here. You remember this guy? Came in and threatened us? Remember this? Here, take a look.
If you are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am. Okay. Very easy. If you are smart enough.
Being asked who this guy is and says, if you're smart enough, you'll know who I am. In Middle Eastern accent here. Is he from Iran? I don't know.
If you are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am. Okay. Very easy. If you are
soon you're going to know who I am. That's a threat. So who is he? Ekrock, who is this guy who we need to know who he is? So weird, according to the guy. Maybe Grok will answer it for us. I'll end on this. This is a humorous post. The Babylon Bee. Trump announces he has evidence that Thomas Massie is only weeks away from acquiring nuclear weapons. Massie took this and shared it. He says, after all, I did build and program a wearable debt clock in only 3 days. With the laughing emoji. That's hilarious. I like his sense of humor. I want these two to get along. They have more in common than they have apart. So hopefully they can be friends again. All right. Well, that's what I have to share with you today. Thank you for watching the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. Here's your reminder to follow us on Instagram, the New American Media, Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube at the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_. Subscribe to our podcast at the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. And if anybody wants to toss anything into our tip jar, we're on Patreon at the New American Media. Thank you to all of our monthly subscribers at various levels. You can do $5, $15, $100 a month, $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month. You too can sponsor a podcaster. We're also on Venmo and Cash App at BrianEngelman and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Thank you, David. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, everybody else who was hate watching us quietly from the side. Actually, most of our hate watchers, not Weight Watchers for the fatties. We're talking about hate watchers for the baddies. No, I'm talking about the people who are genuinely hate watching. They love to copy and paste. They get they're either bots or they're sock puppet accounts. They'll make money for posting and putting just propaganda out. And you can tell it's copy paste. It's really weird. Maybe it's a bot. Maybe it's a person. I don't know. But usually when the hate watchers are here, they will leave their comments and let it be known that they don't know what they're talking about, which is more power to them. It gives me more ammunition. What does Eminem say? Because it gives me the fuel that I need for the fire to burn, and it's burning, and I have returned, and I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? on the website, the news every day I am. I am Brian Engelman. This is the New American Media. I appreciate you. I love you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace. That's a good word. Peace. Don't agree to a ceasefire and then drop the most bombastic payload you've ever dropped in the conflict, Israel. Don't piss him off. You want him on your bad side? You're getting real close. Real close. So, once again, double peace. See you soon.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.